You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live.
Hello and welcome to the Claret and Blue YouTube channel and podcast feed. We've got a very different video today. First of all, I'm sat in my bedroom like the good old days. This is very strange to be sat here talking to a laptop, but I'm joined by Guy Clark from the Liverpool Echo. Guy, how are you?
I'm not so bad, Dan. How are you?
Yeah, keeping well. So no flu symptoms just yet, so I'm just going to stay here on my own in my bedroom for the foreseeable and avoid all human contact.
I think we're all doing the same, mate. To be honest, I'm sat here in my kitchen and I feel as though I'm not just in self-isolation in my house, but in my kitchen at the moment, trying to churn out as many podcasts and videos as possible.
Yeah, it's a strange situation, isn't it? But we carry on. We try and bring some normality back to people's lives. So there's no football. It's all been suspended till April as it stands. It's very unlikely it's going to come back in April, in my opinion. So we're going to try and talk about the football a little bit. If you can first of all explain your allegiances. I know you're not a Liverpool fan, but you work with the Echo and you cover the club. So potential Premier League title on the hands for you on the way. Or is it?
Yeah, well, it seems that way. Role I do, obviously, the Liverpool Echo, part of the Blood Red team, providing a load of podcasts and videos talking an awful lot about Liverpool and their fortunes. And yeah, this Premier League title is now obviously suspended along with the whole Premier League, which it was a very strange week at Echo HQ because the week before, Liverpool went into the week knowing that 2 wins and they could be Premier League champions, or if City slipped up, City had to play Arsenal, they had to play Burnley before obviously Liverpool played, or were due to play Everton in the Merseyside derby, which, given that the Arsenal game was the first one that was cancelled in the Premier League due to the coronavirus fears, then that sort of pushed everything back. But we went from a week of mad panic of trying to plan all of this stuff, thinking we would have had the March international break to plan a massive title celebration, to all of a sudden everything being on hold. Yeah,
it's very strange, isn't it? It's obviously how we settle the Premier League, first of all, is the big question. How, in your opinion, what do you think should happen? You void the season and we start fresh at some point from zero. We pick football back up again at some point and carry on as we were, or we bring football back at some point, maybe behind closed doors. What if those are the 3 scenarios I can think of? Which is the preferred option there for you?
For me, the preferred option would probably be you wait till maybe July, August time, if that's a safe time to bring back football as we're all well and used to it happening. Then within that, I've got 2 schools of thought. One, the initial one I thought would probably be you bring the season back in, because if we're off that long, you're probably going to need like a mini pre-season. So you bring the Premier League football back in August, so hopefully sides can get back in training in July. You bring football back in perhaps mid-August. You basically finish off the last 10 games and cup competitions that need finishing off before, let's say, November. If you can do that, you then have a month maybe of a transfer window and time off for players to just reset and mentally prepare for what would then be a new season that could perhaps start in December. You'd run 1 round of fixtures, so 19 in the Premier League, 23 in the EFL. Then, as they do in Scotland, split, if you're still with me, I know this is complex, but split then after 1 round of games. So in the Premier League, the top half would play the rest of those top half sides. You'd have another 9 games there to give you, in effect, a 28-game season in the Premier League. And obviously in the EFL, you'd end up with a 34-game season. So teams wouldn't lose as much money, perhaps financially, from lack of matches. And we might then, if we started that in December, be able to get all of that done by May. But also you've got then the 2022 World Cup. So do you now realign everything to work towards that? But Euro 2020 is now next summer, so I mean it looks as though we do need to get another season done before the end of next May. Premier League years is great on Sky Sports, as is 100 Club and all of the other different things, but if they could play some kind of football, even if it be behind closed doors and we can still watch it, some live action, yes, the fans wouldn't be there, and that makes up such a big deal in football, especially working from a Liverpool point of view. The title being secured in front of no fans would be awful, but it would be better, and I think keep up morale more than anything else.
What is the feeling with Liverpool fans up there? Obviously, no Premier League title for, would this be the 30th year? Is that right? Was it the 90, the last one? So no Premier League title for almost 30 years. You're absolutely guaranteed to win it. When football comes back, you need 5 or 6 points. You will win the Premier League title this year when football comes back. if this whole scenario is that we go, no, sorry guys, we're going to avoid the season, what would Liverpool fans feel about that? Because as a Villa fan, we kind of go, oh, well, we'll be in the Premier League next year, so we don't really care. We've had a little bit of a reprieve. Whereas with Liverpool, moments away from a title that might not happen.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying that it can't happen effectively. I think if that happened, there would be riots on Merseyside as to why this has been allowed to happen. Because when you think as well, the previous season, getting 97 points and not winning the league was hard enough to believe. And then coming out this season and getting to the stage in the season where Liverpool do find themselves, and that obviously being a case of having played 29 games, won 27 of those, just drawn once and lost once.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
It shows just that the levels of consistency that Jurgen Klopp's got the side playing at. And I think if you then looked at it and went, actually, it's all null and void, you've got arguably the greatest domestic side, regardless of Premier League or First Division, whatever. You've got arguably, if Liverpool went and won the rest of the games and only dropped 5 points through the course of a season and ended on 109 points, I mean, you'd be just expunging that from history, and all of a sudden you'd look back in the history books in 10, 15, 20 years' time and say, oh, what was happening in that season before it got suspended? And then you'd remember, oh yeah, it was arguably perhaps one of the greatest ever sides that were denied the opportunity to get their hands on the trophy.
It just doesn't make any sense. The more you sit down and actually think about what scenario we're living through, that can't be allowed to happen. But obviously there's more important things than football, and everyone needs to stay safe and all the rest of it. I agree with that. But we're working in the line of football, in the football industry. This is what we have to talk about, and this is what we have to fill our time with. The fact that Liverpool might not win a league and having been so good because of a virus outbreak, like when you actually think that through and how strange that is, it is a really weird time. Also, the other side of that is there's been a bit of banter and stuff from other fans on social media that I've seen that Liverpool would win the league in the season where football got suspended, and it almost wouldn't be quite real that you won it this year because everything went a bit weird. Is that something that Liverpool fans would care about? Because as a Villa fan, the thought of winning the Premier League title would be enough that we go, I don't care how it happens.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool fans have waited so long for this. Obviously, having 18 league titles, and in 1990, I wasn't walking this planet, neither were you, but you speak to people who were, and the idea of Liverpool going 30 full years without winning a league title would have been absolutely astonishing, yet that's the situation they find themselves in. And I know a few guys in the office a few weeks back were sort of joking about how the only thing that could stop Liverpool now winning the league title would be a natural disaster or something that wasn't actually related to football, and that is the situation that now sort of seems to be playing out. As you say, echo what you say, that we hope everyone obviously stays safe and health and well-being is at the paramount, but football is a massive part of people's lives, not just as they talk about it, but people who go to the games, people who are so emotionally invested. And I think that's one of the key points, especially with Karen Brady, what she said about how the season should just be expunged and we should all start again the following season. You're forgetting, and I know there's companies who pay an awful lot of money and therefore they're protecting certain interests, but in terms of relative spend and things, you've got supporters who travel the length and breadth of the country, spending all of their disposable income and more in some cases, following and watching their teams. They have put in such an awful amount of financial resource and also emotional resource to follow this journey, what is happening, and all of a sudden you're going to say to them, oh, all of that was for nothing. I don't think you can do it. It just can't happen.
The thing as well with that is that if we're in a position in, say, I don't know, August, September, whatever, to go, right, we're going to wipe our hands of it, we're going to start a new season, everyone starts from zero, all the players are fit and healthy, the world's gone back to normal. If we're in that position, surely if we're in a position to start a fresh season, why are we not in a position just to carry on the season that we've got now first, finish that, 10 games, get it done over the course of, 8 weeks or something, and you do it, or you play Saturday, Tuesday to just get it out of the way and move on quickly. If we're in a position to start a fresh league, surely we're in a position to finish this league first before moving on. Also, the permutations of the Championship, there's been a lot of talk about, well, relegate Villa, Norwich and Bournemouth and promote Leeds, West Brom and somebody else who's in the top 6. Leeds and West Brom haven't done anything yet. Technically, Liverpool haven't won the title yet. They were going to. They only need a few points and Liverpool will win the title. But no one's achieved anything yet. Villa haven't been relegated. We've still got a game in hand as well over everybody else. So we're already at a slight disadvantage now. You can't start giving titles out and relegations and promotions and all the rest of it when things haven't been concrete yet. So if we're in a position to start a new league at some point in August, surely you just finish this one first and then we start fresh with the following season in October or whatever that is.
Well, yeah, it's always one of the massive things that's said about things aren't done until they're mathematically certain. You would have spoken to players and managers like I have it over years where you see a side absolutely nailed to their fate of what's going to happen, and until it's mathematically certain we'll be plugging away. But you look at the Liverpool situation, 25 points clear at the top of the league. As you say, Villa have a game in hand, as do City, of course, because of the Carabao Cup final. But Manchester City, I think they still have 27 points left to play for. No, they've got 10 games left, haven't they? So they've got 30 points to play for. They're 25 points behind Liverpool. So they can only afford to drop 5 points, which then goal difference comes into it. They're not going to achieve 25 from 30 points regardless. I don't think personally, given the form they've shown through the course of the season. Although when it resumes, they may well do. But that's now, however it resumes, it's all warped now because you can have, as we were just saying before, Aston Villa, I think, are a club who could in fact benefit from it because you've got a squad of players who were assembled very quickly in one summer. Now, if we have to have almost a new pre-season before football gets back underway, especially, is it Samatta, the new signing up front, a guy who's looked really good since coming in, all of a sudden he's now going to have even extra time to bed in, get to know his teammates, and you've got more time as a squad to gel together. You've got injuries of players like Tom Heaton who now may even find that he can get back before the season finishes. You thought his season was long gone.
It's crazy, isn't it? There's so many different permutations. Obviously, John McGinn as well, a massive name linked with various different clubs over the last few months. He was due to come back in March, and it was kind of like, well, he might even make the cup final, but he'll be back for Chelsea or Newcastle or somebody like this. He now comes back to a side and will be fully fit by the time we start playing again, because there was concerns over us kind of rushing him back because we were in trouble and maybe him not being quite ready. If football doesn't come back for another 3 weeks, if everything says we're coming back in April or whatever the original plan is, if that does happen, that's still 3 weeks extra for all those things to happen like you just said. But I mean, the likelihood is we're going to be looking at football probably during the summer, which, to be honest, I don't really think is a bad thing. The best part about the international tournaments is those, warm weekends and going to the football and beer gardens and pubs and all the rest of it. We get to do that with club football now. We get to start just wearing T-shirts, no coats for Premier League football during the summer. That's actually quite exciting.
It's balmy, isn't it? Thinking about being inside Villa Park with nothing other than a T-shirt on in the press box.
30 degrees.
Yeah, it would be mad. Obviously, FIFA do have their plans for this Club World Cup that they wanted to start in 2021 as well. So, I mean, there is always football all the time, and I'm sure as soon as it is safe and able to be the case that football will resume. And obviously, that therefore looks as though, yes, summer football will definitely be a thing for at least one summer. It depends on how the calendars get rejigged. If now FIFA decide that this is a prime time to rejig everything heading towards the 2022 Qatar World Cup, then things might get altered for a couple of seasons. We'll have to wait and see.
That's the thing. None of us have lived through anything like this before. As much as the health implications of what's going on and the working from home and the public transport and all the rest of it, that's something new to deal with for everybody. But football, something that you kind of do as a hobby, to put it in air quotes, is something that you put time and money into, like you just said. The fact that even that's been affected to such a degree that no one really knows what's going on, that fixture lists could change, the whole, this could affect football for the next 2 or 3 seasons. Transfer windows, when is that going to be? Players out of contract, what happens to those when they expire in June if the football season's still going on? There's so many different permutations that no one really knows the answer to. It's kind of our job as journalists for the next however long to kind of just sit here and guess a little bit and pretend like we know what we're talking about and just hope that at some point things go back to normal.
No, it definitely is the case. And even you talk about transfers and things like that. I mean, worst case scenario, we're in lockdown for a long time. You could have big businesses that go out of business themselves, which sponsor certain clubs and whatnot, and industries that fail. And then all of a sudden, can clubs afford to keep paying massive salaries to players? Are sponsors still on board? You've got so many different outcomes that are yet to obviously...
And the regular staff as well.
Exactly, and we're just scratching the surface with the sort of place we're in now, and it's probably a bit deep of us to really go fully in-depth speculating, as we sort of just have done there. But no, it really is one of those that you sort of can't call, but... I know here on Merseyside and with Liverpool, it is all just about making sure that football resumes. And I think as time goes on, the idea of even playing behind closed doors and just getting something done might enter more and more people's psyches, because I think that's the biggest part in terms of Liverpool, is the fans are such a big part of the club, as they are with any club, but with Liverpool they are so ingrained and so entwined in every decision the club sort of seems to make, whether it's even sort of players signings and sponsorship deals and this, that and the other. The clubs are so crucial to everything that Liverpool Football Club at the moment sort of try and do. They're really on board with the supporters groups and all sorts, and they've waited 30 years for a league title, and not only have they waited, they've been derided and mocked in public for waiting for so long for a league title. This is our year, obviously being the sort of famous line that's thrown back at Liverpool fans, and if they were to then complete it without the fans being there, it would be a crying shame. Yet they have almost de facto sort of been the champions on parade throughout the season, if that makes sense. I know it sounds odd because Man City are the reigning champions, but having got 97 points and being European champions and then basically conquering all before them, they've had this league title won effectively since December, and then it's just been a case of a parade towards actual confirmation, which now obviously is in the hands of the gods.
Yeah, I think there's nothing else to say, is there? It's very strange to be able to sit here and speculate too much, because like you said, you can get so far down the rabbit hole of, well, if this changes, then this changes this thing, and that changes this thing, and then this changes that thing, and all of a sudden you're now making government plans that is much further above our pay grade. So kind of want to stay out of it a little bit and just kind of speculate on the surface and then sit back and go, right, someone else deal with it now.
Yeah, we'll just keep making podcasts and videos.
Yeah, we'll do our best. So Guy, thank you very much for joining me. Keep yourself safe in the kitchen and get yourself some food. It's almost dinner time, so I haven't got my watch on. It's almost dinner time, so get yourself something to eat, stay safe, and if you've got any coronavirus symptoms, then keep it to yourself. Hopefully we can't catch anything via this system that we've got going on.
No, thanks a lot for having me, and great to have a chat.
So thank you very much to Guy Clark from the Liverpool Echo for helping us out with a video on how this whole coronavirus outbreak affects the top of the league. I'm also going to join up with Jack Reeve from Talk Norwich City to talk about the bottom of the league and how we're both in the bottom three and how we kind of assess the situation and kind of get a varying perspective on this whole crazy thing that we're all going through together. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. There'll be little bits coming over the coming days as we kind of find our feet and work through this setup of working from home. And we'll be back with another proper podcast in the coming days. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, up the Villa.